see people making, or even a possible mistake that I see people making when considering or even going into surgical tech. And this is not gonna be a long video unless some of y'all pop in, but I just wanted to share this with you guys. So what I see a lot of people doing is coming into the career to see if they like the medical career. So some people want to be nurses or PAs or doctors, and then they decide that they're going to become a surgical tech just to see if they want to do it. And normally they do this because they haven't really decided on which path to go down. But this is a mistake because what we already know is the easiest way to a destination is with a straight shot. So if you want to become a surgical tech just because that's something that you want to do, then great. But if you want to become a surgical tech to decide if you want to be a nurse, or to decide if you want to be a PA, or to decide if you want to be a doctor, that is the wrong move, at least from my opinion, because what I know is that it's gonna take longer for you to get to your end goal than it would if you was to just go straight into being a PA or being a nurse or being a doctor. Instead of, oh, hold on one second, guys. Okay, so yeah, if you go on a detour of becoming a surgical tech, yes, you'll get some different experiences and you'll get to see what nurses do and what doctors do and what PAs do. Yes, that's true. However, the amount of time that you're going to spend to just become a surgical tech, you could be focusing that on actually become a nurse or a doctor. So if you're thinking about, okay, I want to be a nurse, but you heard about, the surgical tech career, and you're like, well, maybe I should do that. I can make money faster. Yeah, but that's fine. But if your ultimate goal is to become a physician assistant, then do that. Or if your ultimate goal is to become something other than a surgical tech, then instead of going into the surgical tech career, spending a year or so in school and then another year or so in the career, just go straight into the career that you're drawn to. So, and I can say this, you guys, because I see so many people getting into the career and then they end up with all this student loan debt and they have to pay the debt back, and you still want to go get another career, you still want to go do something else. This isn't your ultimate career. So, if you're trying to become, like I said, a nurse, just go straight to nursing school. If you don't know what you want to do, if like nursing ain't something that's on your radar, or being a physician assistant isn't something on your radar, and you're just looking for something to do, and then surgical tech may be okay for you, but I would still advise you to come up with a plan. Like, why would you choose surgical tech? Why would you, just think about it a little bit more than just saying, oh, I'm going to just do this. And then you're out here on a whim and you're just like, okay, so now I'm 20 something $1,000 in debt, and I'm in a career that I really didn't want, or I didn't really do enough research on to even hop into it. So, for me personally, you guys, now that I'm more aware of my decisions, instead of me saying, okay, well, I'm gonna do this to get here, I'm just gonna go straight for my outcome, straight for what the result is, because it's gonna take up time on a detour. You're gonna take up time on this detour. So just go straight into the career. And and if you do want to be a surgical tech, or like I said, if you're not really sure about what path you want to take, you need to get clear on what path you want to take in life. You don't want to just have life happen to you. So you have to kind of prepare for your phases in life. So if you're young, then maybe go ahead and go to surgical tech school if you don't want to go to college for 4 years, or you don't want to go to the military. So for me, I didn't want to go to college when I got out of school. I went into, because, and I knew I didn't want to go to college because school just was like, to me. Thank you for the like, whoever's in here with me. But when I went to the military, they pretty much put me through their type of school. So either way you go, unless you're gonna be an entrepreneur, like a with a skill, so I would say like plumbing and just those type of things, then find something to do, but make a plan on, I'm gonna do this, and do the research on exactly on that career. Like, go look it up. Don't just go and say, oh, well, Kiafa on YouTube said that I can make $100,000 if I become a travel surgical tech. Yes, but I fell into this career. This career wasn't something that I went out seeking. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the military because I know I don't want to go to college and blow thousands of dollars on a degree that I don't even know what I'm gonna do with. Like I had no real plan. So the plan was to just go to the military until I could figure out what next moves to make in my life. Just so happened I started going into the medical field. Now, when I first went into the military, I wasn't in the medical field. I was undesignated for the first 18 to 20 months that I was in the Navy. And so by the time I was 21, I hadn't already became a hospital corpsman, and I later started working as a surgical tech. So most of my adult career I have been in the medical field. Hang on one second, guys. Okay, sorry guys, I'm like mommying and homeschooling everything at the same time. So yeah, I went ahead and my first like I said, the majority of my adult career has been in the medical field, and a large portion of it has been in the OR. But I didn't really have a plan, and because I didn't have a plan, a lot of stuff just was kind of happening, and then I would kind of adjust to that. So for you, I would just say make a plan, have a clear decision. Okay, I'm not gonna go to school. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to go to school or to the military if that's something on your radar. I'm going to, if you're young, you could just do whatever. Now, if you're older and you're looking like, okay, I need to make some money faster, and you don't necessarily want to be a nurse, because I want you guys to understand being a nurse, surgical techs and nursing aren't the same thing. We work together, but it's not the same thing. Neither is surgical tech and physician assistant, and neither is surgical tech and being a doctor. Yes, we work with these people, but it's not the same. It's not the same. And so if that's what you want to do, go into that and spend your time on becoming that. And if you aim for becoming a PA and you don't make it, you can still become you still can become a surgical tech, but aim high. If that's aim for your goal, aim for what you desire, instead of settling and then saying, okay, well, I'm down here, I'm gonna just try to go ahead and go up to being a doctor or being a PA. The amount of time that it takes for you to go to school for a physician assistant, nursing, and doctors, you're going to spend a large majority of your time as a surgical tech trying to figure out the surgical tech world, when that's a waste of time. You could just go into being a nurse. Now, like I say, some of us don't have plans, and we get, before you know it, we're in our 30s, late 30s, early 40s, and we got to have some type of income, especially if we got kids in the family that's going to support us. So if you're just looking for, especially like if you have kids and you're older and you're just looking for a career that's going to give you some stability and put you in a halfway decent tax bracket, then definitely go into surgical tech. But if it's something where you're just like, okay, I'm gonna go be a surgical tech to figure out if I want to be a nurse, don't do that, because you're wasting time. Just go be a nurse. So when you're looking on like a map, if you're looking at a car and the car wants to get to point C, if the car, it's a straight line from the car to point C, but if the car goes to point B, D, it's gonna take longer, and Lord only knows what could be happening in the process of you stopping at, point A when you're trying to get to point C. If you stop at point A, you might get distracted and all these other things could happen. You might, let's just say, I'm just gonna give you a scenario. Let's just say you're a young lady or a young man, and you're in your early 20s, and then you go, okay, I'm gonna be a surgical tech because I want to be a nurse, or I want to be a physician assistant. So you go be a surgical tech, you go to surgical tech school, and then you end up meeting somebody, and y'all end up with kids and all of this, and now you can't really focus on going back to school because now you got to take care of these kids. So I'm just using that as an example, but anything in life can happen. So it could be like your parents get sick, or whatever, anything can happen. But if you were on the trajectory of being a doctor, then you can just kind of keep pushing through it. But if you end up in a career where you're like, okay, well, I'm making decent money, you're going to just settle because it's going to be easier. You're already in that career. And then you already got all these student loans that you have to pay off, and they're just keep piling up and piling up until you pay them off. So my suggestion is, if you want to be a nurse or if you want to be a physician assistant, go do that. Don't go be a surgical tech and then, okay, well, I'm gonna do this while I go to school. If you want to be a nurse, go be an LPN and you can work as the LPN while you're going through school to be an RN. Like that would be more of a realistic career path if nursing is what you want to do. Now I'm gonna tell you, like I say, nursing and surgical tech ain't the same thing. Surgical techs focus solely on the OR, the equipment and the sterilization, and even helping and maintaining, a sterile and environment. Excuse me. Nurses focus on caring for patients. So if you want to be taking care of patients, not as OR nurses, not OR, they still take care of patients, but not to the same degree as like a floor nurse or even like a ER nurse or something like that. Because the OR nurses, once you get the patient from PACU, they're gonna take the patient from PACU or pre-op, excuse me, and then they're gonna bring the patient to the OR. We're gonna go over our timeout, and then the patient is gonna be sedated or possibly and put to sleep, and then the nurse primarily is focused on charting. You're welcome, lovable Leica. I like that. So you're gonna the nurse is gonna be focusing on charting, but in the OR, the surgical tech and the first assistant is gonna be more hands-on, helping put instruments together, helping put equipment together, helping troubleshoot sometimes, because sometimes you gotta be like, okay, do this. We got monitors and stuff in there. The surgical tech is way more knowledgeable around the OR equipment and how to keep everybody and everything sterile. That's what like aseptic technique is the one of the main priorities of the surgical tech, as well as assisting the physician on what they're doing. The nurse is only focused on the care of the patient. So maybe the nurse will be morally communicating with anesthesia during the OR procedure versus like a surgical tech. So when you're looking at nursing, you got to think, do I want to take care of patients? And as a surgical tech, I know I don't want to deal with patients like that, because people come to the hospital, they be cranky, they're not feeling well, they got all these problems going on, or they have something going on. My patients come in the OR and they go to sleep, or they be sedated. It's not a whole bunch of patient interaction going on. The most that I might like, patients normally don't even remember the surgical test, honestly, especially if they were sedated heavily, like where we're doing a general, where they're doing like general anesthesia. The patients are typically sleep. So for me, I like that. Like my patients don't complain, honey. Like, and I say my patients because we do prep in some places. The surgical tech may prep, help position. We may even help go get the patient from pre-op. But the nurse is charting most of the time. And then once the procedure is complete, then they're going to take the patient back to pre-op. So you have to post-op, I should say, or PACU. So you got to take into consideration, like, do I want to do all of that? My mom is a surgical tech, and for the longest, she's been telling me I should do it too. I've been being stubborn for years, and now I'm 27, considering going to school for surgical tech. Yeah, just do it. Because for one, if you're 27, like, do you really want to go do 4 years? I'm not saying you shouldn't, because by all means, do it, feel comfortable to you. But like at 27, I had already had a kid, and I know it's people that go out here and they can have these like really, long school stints where they go into school for long periods of time. It just didn't work for me and my situation. By the time I was 27, I had my son. Me and his dad was like in the process of like separating. So I had to figure out like, now luckily I had already been in a surgical tech school. So I had something that I could use for my income. But for some single parents out here that's trying to figure out what to do, like this might be that quick, like little hustle. Y'all, it's 5 of y'all in here, and I appreciate each and every one of y'all. But please hit the like button to help me and the YouTube algorithm, get on the same page. So I don't want to keep asking, but I have to ask when I see like it's some people in here with me. So just please hit it. It don't cost you nothing. And that's what Strong Mommy Chrissy say. It's free and it don't cost you nothing. I used to watch her a lot. But when you're a single parent and maybe you don't have like 4 or 5 years to go to school, then surgical tech definitely would be a career that you could use to help create a stable income and to create a stable life. And even if you don't go traveling, it's still going to give you some stability. Now, if you can go traveling with your kids, then honey, I'm going to tell you to go get that money. Or even if you can travel within your city, then I'm going to tell you to go get that money. You definitely, yeah, lovable. If you don't have no kids, honey, go get this money and then just, it'll take you about a whole, we're gonna say you will be invested in about 2 years before you could probably go travel because you got to figure out how long it's gonna take you to go to school. And then you got to see, once you complete the school, you need about a year or so of experience before you can start traveling. But I always tell people to make a plan too because you don't want to end up paying like, okay, let's just say the average surgical tech school, I'ma just be kind of say $20,000 to $25,000 if you can't get into a public school, a community college. If you can get into a community college, do that. Hey Jade, Steve, what's going on? Would you recommend someone in their 40s becoming a surgical tech single with no kids? Yeah, if you don't want to spend the next, I mean, because you got to think in your 40s, you trying to hurry up and get ready to retire or at least get enough money to where you can live comfortably. Like, cause I'm 37 and I'm feeling like, shoot, I don't want to have to work for the next, not grind out as hard as you would if you was making $20,000 a year, right? So $20,000, that ain't really no comfortable money. And it like surgical tech gonna easily put 100. Well, we'll say to put 50 to 60K in your pocket if you don't go travel. If you go travel, you can easily hit 100,000 or more just by traveling. And so I think 40s is a good age because you don't have to spend as much time and it's gonna give you a comfortable lifestyle still. And as long as if you're in a position where you can save or invest at least $1,000 a month of that surgical tech pay, which you should be, you just gotta learn how to budget. Once you can budget $1,000 to invest, you only need about $2 million to retire or to like at least quit working to live off about $50,000 to $60,000 a year. So yeah, especially if you're 40 and you don't already have like some type of retirement set up or I wouldn't even say 401k because the 401k ain't gonna do it. But if you don't have some type of retirement plan set up, definitely go do surgical tech for a couple of years and throw as much money as you can into some type of investment opportunity that's gonna give you a return on your money. So I mean, I don't want to tell you what to do because I am a financial advisor, so I can't say this. But what I will say is to just do what you know. So I'm gonna tell people the easiest thing that I see is to enter in the stock market, and you can enter in the stock market and invest in industries that you know about. So whether it's healthcare, agriculture, real estate, like people they invest in real estate. And I hadn't talked about this on this channel before. I'm talking fast, you guys, because it's lunchtime for me and my son, so I'm gonna talk a little bit faster, but one of the things that you can invest in through the stock market is called REITs. It's REIT, and it's a real estate some investment trust. I think it's real estate investment trust, and you can purchase those through the stock market. But if you go through like Robinhood or somewhere like that, try to go through Fidelity for some of these things too, because you'll get more access. You'll get access to more stock options like stock businesses or privately or not publicly traded businesses. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry guys. So let me just say that again so I can be clear on what I was trying to say just then, and then I'm gonna read this and then I'm gonna get back to what I was saying earlier. So if you use Fidelity, I know I always tell you guys to go through Robinhood and all of that, and I still feel like Robinhood is probably a better, or these like Robinhood and One Finance. I think those are better than nothing, and it's way better to me than your 401k, because at least you'll be learning and then you can figure out how to invest your own money. But once you if you want to get access to more publicly traded businesses, then you would have to go through like Charles Schwab and Fidelity and Vanguard. And also what I haven't covered on this channel with Robinhood and those other trade and platforms is that they have a lag in their time. So like you might see, we'll just say Amazon trading for $3,200 and some change, or $3,300 on Robinhood, and it may be like 32 or 30, like it's a difference and it's a lag. And so it's a lag in the time. So they call Fidelity in those places like real-time trading. And so anyways, that's just to give you guys a little information. But if you're in your 40s, then go throw some money, like, because when you're young, you got time. So we would think that we have time on our hands, so at least get in the habit. But when you get older, like, you're gonna have to come up with a fast way to get this money and to get a decent amount of money and to keep it like stable was the word I was looking for. So yeah, you want some stable income, and surgical tech definitely gonna give you stability. If it don't give you nothing else, is the surgeries aren't going anywhere. Yeah, I thought about trucking, but I don't want to get fat, and trucking is dangerous. Plus, I'm too scared. Yeah, I ain't with the trucking. I ain't gonna even lie, but they making money out here. Now, what you can do is go become a surgical tech, go buy you a truck, and then put a driver in the truck. You know what I'm saying? And then you and the driver just split the money. But I'm with you on that. Like, I ain't finna be driving, and I got in an accident last year, honey. I'm definitely like, I'm real funny about getting on the freeway and all of that stuff right now. So if you older and you're looking for some type of way to get into a stable income and to do it as fast as possible, I would definitely look in surgical tech. And then, like what you know, yeah, you're welcome. If you're trying to invest into, like, if you're looking at truck driving, do it. But I wouldn't drive. I would go pay. I would get a truck driver, somebody out of, somebody that might be fresh out of school or something like that, and I would own the truck, and me and the truck driver would split the money. Like, that's how I would do it. But if you don't want to do something like truck driving or investing like that, you can just invest the money into the stock market, which would be the easiest thing to do. The next best thing I'm gonna tell you is to start a business, which truck driving is business. So you could just keep buying trucks, and you're gonna get a faster return on your money than you would if you was to do it in the stock market, but you're at risk. It's a little more risk in business, but the return, like, I'm all about taking a little bit of risk to get a bigger return, and just, making sure that I'm not taking too big of a risk that I'm gonna lose everything. But I might be a little more aggressive when it come down to my investment options. But what I was saying earlier about like REITs and stuff, that's another way that we can get into the real estate. So I was watching, I don't know if y'all know who this person is. His name is Wall Street Trapper. So Wall Street, like, Wall Street, and then Trapper, like the trap house. So I was watching him, and he made a very good point to say about the REITs, and how he was explaining how he owns, or he was giving examples how you can own Amazon, and you can own the building that is the Amazon is renting from. Thank you guys for the light. So you got Amazon that I done purchased, because I own stocks. I own shares of Amazon, and you should too, because Amazon ain't going nowhere. There's some beast out here, and if you're not a part of that, you just gonna get left behind. And so you got Amazon that's here that you have shares of, but then the REITs, the REITs, that will help you on the company, the building. So Amazon, like, has a warehouse here where it's not too far from here too. But I think I seen him on Earn Your Leave from him as well. And I don't plan on prison anything like that. Hope y'all know. They looked at his bank account and how all his like physical assets, but they didn't look into his stock portfolio. So while you locked up, and your money still like earning money for you. And so I tell y'all to go to jail, but I'm just saying, like, if you are here living a little bit, on the edge, I would advise you to put your money into the stock market, if you can, without sending off any flags. So what else I was saying earlier is to make sure you make a plan on how you're gonna go. Guys, my bad. Come on, don't do this to me. I'm gonna wrap it up in a second. Okay, so if you had to go to school, I would go to a community college. If the college that you are looking for is filled, like they only accept a certain amount of people, I would probably even leave the area and go to where I can actually go to a community college, right? So if you can go to a community college, then great, because it's probably gonna only cost you like $4,000, maybe $5,000 to become a surgical tech within a year, and then boom, you're off to the races. But if you go to a private school like Kaiser and those type of places, Concord, I don't know if Concord, and I don't know if Kaiser offers surgical tech. I'm just saying these are private schools. And even though they start all year, like, you can just hop into a program whenever you want to, like, that's cool, but you're gonna pay for that. And you're gonna pay a nice little chunk. So if you're gonna end up spending 20, 30,000 on student loans or more, then you're gonna have to pay that back. So you don't want to really put yourself in like this bind where you have to actually pay 20, $30,000. It's because, if you don't pay it off fast enough, then you're gonna get hit with it. It just keep building, stuck in a career that you just was trying to fix. You just career. So it's not worth it if you're just trying this career out to figure out if you want to go be a nurse, or if you're just doing this, like I say, to figure out if you want to be in another career. Like if you want to be a nurse, then go be a medical assistant, not be a path nurse. You can go get your go be a RN, but don't go be a surgical tech to go be a nurse. Now maybe you go be a surgical tech because that's what you want to do, and then you realize that you might like nursing. That's fine. Do that then. But don't go into it thinking that you finna go be a PA, or you finna go, be a doctor, because life is gonna happen to you, and you'll spend more time going on detours than you would if you just went straight to your destination. And so that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I'm sorry I got like stuff all over my face, but yeah, that's really all I had. So that's really all I have for you guys. I just wanted to share that because now, like I was saying earlier too, is that if you are older, or if you like at these dead end jobs, like, I mean, yeah, surgical tech over anything else. Like, why not over anything else, but over being in like dead end job. Now, surgical tech can be a little like capping, because to be the next path for you as a surgical tech will be either being a first assistant, or being a nurse, or being an OR nurse, to be more specific. But even being an OR nurse or a PA, but even to do that, like, you got to consider how much do you really want to do that? Like, what's the point? So if you're trying to figure out how to increase your wealth, excuse me, and you don't have to go be a nurse and go be a doctor. You don't have to do that. You can go be a surgical tech, live off of half of your income, invest the other half of your income, and retire before some of the nurses and some of the doctors do, and still have a better quality of life. Because you gotta think, being a doctor, like, I don't want to be a surgeon. Oh honey, no. It's too stressful. It's too much stress. Like, that changes the quality of life. Now, you can do it if you can find a balance in doing it, then by all means do that. But from what I can see, I would prefer to go. I wish that I was in a position earlier in my career to where I could have just took half of my career and half of my salary, and just threw it at some type of investment opportunity that was at least bringing me 7 to 8%, which would have easily been the stock market. Do surgical assistants. Yeah, surgical assistants make more. Now you have to actually go back to school to be a surgical assistant. And they actually offer surgical assistant at Gulf Coast State College here in Florida, at a community college. But I did see one at a private college, which I think it was like West Virginia something. And you're going to pay for that, because that one, I think, coming with a master's degree. And so at First Coast State College here in Florida, it's in Panama City, they offer a associate's degree. And so you can do it that way. But yeah, a surgical assistant would be the next step, or nursing. And so, like I say, I'm not with the patient care. I don't want to be coughed on. I don't want any of that. Like, I'm cool. Like, let's get into the OR. Let's put some, get some sterility in here. Let's get some negative air pressure flowing so we can't like get sick from each other. Like, I'm with that life a little bit more than I'm with being more patient care. Now, I've done patient care, especially as a labor and delivery tech, a labor and delivery surgical tech. Is it hard to get into surgical administration? I don't really know much about surgical administration, because normally the people that's in charge of the surgical techs would be the doctors and the nurses. So in the OR, you don't really see like surgical techs. I have seen like first assist leads and stuff like that, but you don't really see them in like the administrative part, unless they're hospital administrator, like have a degree in hospital administration. And you can get a degree. I know people that have stopped scrubbing and just did hospital administration, where they only on the paperwork side of it. And so that's cool too, if that's something that you decide to do. But for me, I just think it would be easier to become a surgical tech, and then decide like, okay, and even after becoming a surgical tech, like, if you don't want to scrub anymore, you can just go be a teacher. Like, go teach. I don't really know what, like, I think the natural progression would be, I don't know if it would be surgical administration. I'm not familiar with surgical administration at all. I see more surgical techs going to PA school, nursing school, PA school, getting hospital administration degrees, or going to teach. going to be a teacher. Now, I would consider teaching, especially now after the pandemic, because they're gonna let you do it remotely anyway. So I would teach now, because I could do it remotely. Like that would be something that I might do in the future. But I wouldn't even. I wouldn't. I haven't heard about hospital or surgical administration at all. Normally, the people that I see that's in charge of like surgical stuff is the nurses, and they normally have like, I mean, you could. I've seen some with some BSNs, but a lot of them have batch or masters. I have met some nurses with associate's degrees that were in like administrative positions, but for the most part these days, the nurses that's gonna be the surgical or medical administration is gonna be by a nurse with probably at least a master's degree and some type of physician. And I've met a couple of anesthesiologists that were actually the medical directors. And so, yeah, that's what I got for you guys. So, if y'all don't have no more questions, I'm gonna go because me and my son hungry right now. I know he like you said it was gonna be quick, and so. But yeah, if you're in here and you haven't hit the like button for me, please hit the like button. If you're watching this on the replay, please hit the like button if you like and enjoy this information. And I will catch you guys probably in another couple of days. I'll be back today, today Tuesday. Thursday I should be back. Okay, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys. Okay, patootie duty.